Thank you, Pera. I'm the last warm-up act before Diane comes on. We're all here but her. But no, it's interesting. In my part of town recently, we've been seeing quite a bit of George Osborne, otherwise known as Gilligan Osborne. So I think, Gideon, sorry. People don't realise he changed his name, and actually it brought to mind an old Chinese proverb that I know, that never trust anyone with your finances who changes their name. There's always wisdom in ancient civilisations, and I dare say Theresa May had that in mind when she sacked him. But let's not forget what he suggested right from the beginning in 2010, that we were all in this together with austerity. And what a falsehood that is, because since we bailed out the banks in 2008, we've had, in real terms, workers' wages go down by about 10%. This at the same time as the top directors in the FTSE companies increase the multiples of their income by about 130 times the average employers in their firm's wages. So we've actually seen workers' wages go down considerably whilst top executives' pay go up substantially. We've also heard about the cuts in local governments that Kate mentioned, particularly in Lancashire. It's averaged out about 30% overall over the whole country, but actually in London it's more like 40–45%. And I really don't envy being a councillor in a cabinet, running a London local authority and making those hard decisions on an annual and even monthly basis. But also, let's not forget the cuts to benefits. I mean, that they've been substantial. In the coalition government, it was something like £15 billion, and they want to do something similar with about £12 billion by 2018. And that substantially cuts into a lot of people's day-to-day existence up and down the country, and let's not lose sight of that at all. But I think what we've done so far, or certainly in the first leadership campaign, I would suggest that the reason why Jeremy won that was that he was clearly opposing austerity, and that's what we all elected Jeremy as leader for. The other candidates weren't actually offering too much at all, apart from their personality, I think, but I think we all saw through that. But now with the second leadership election, I think we've created an alternative. We've got a 10-point policy pledges on health, housing, education, protecting the environment, building a stronger economy and fairer society. And we have a future Chancellor, John McDonnell, prepared to lead a Labour government to borrow us out of austerity to the tune of up to 500 billion. But the real issue we're going to have actually as Labour Party members is actually selling this on the doorstep. And I think that's what we've got to get ourselves ready for. But actually, I think we've got a good basis of doing it. Because the reality is, there's been plenty of expenditure. You just haven't noticed it in our day-to-day life. And the financial papers tend not to emphasise it. We've had money printed left, right and centre to keep the banks going. Up until now, it's been about 435 billion, I should say, by buying up bonds, otherwise known as printing money. It's about 54 billion annually now over the last 8 years. I would suggest we've got to go on the doorstep and tell people, with interest rates so low at the moment, that it would be foolhardy that we don't make the most of this to invest in our economy and things like housing, transport, green energy sector, and keeping our health service together. And that's why we need to get behind the proposal of the national a national bank, which can engineer a lot of that, moving away the funding that we have seen in the monetary economy into the real economy, the bricks and mortar side of it, because that's where we're going to generate the incomes which will pay off the debts and move us on. The irony is, actually, like I said, people like even the IMF and the rating agencies agreed this is actually something that can be done very, very easily and very straightforwardly, and that it could be operational very soon. I dare say we may see the new Chancellor suggesting some of those things in his autumn statement. But I think we need to grab to be ahead on this and start presenting that on the doorstep as something as real and possible. I just point to 1945 when I know my grandfather, when in Bengal, wasn't expecting an Attlee government to win. He thought Churchill would walk the election, a war hero and what have you. I think what we saw there was Brits up and down the country, and particularly those coming back, wanted an alternative. And that's what Clement Attlee and the Labour government offered. And we had the welfare state created along with the National Health Service. That's the kind of challenge I think we've got this time round, and I'm certainly up for it, and I know you will be as well in supporting Jeremy with the alternative that he's offering. Can I just finally say something on something in my capacity as chair of Stop the War, and just a little emphasis on military expenditure, because actually it's much more substantial than people realise. Out of the Chilcot report, we finally got some firm figures about how much money was actually spent on the intervention in the Iraq War at the beginning of the century. It's estimated at today's prices to be about £12 billion. Now, if I'm not wrong, I understand that's about the budget for the whole of our overseas development assistance, about £12 billion through DFID and others. Just imagine what we could have done with that money if it was actually put into the Middle East through aid assistance. And interestingly enough, this very morning we had one of the top advisors for Obama, John Allen, on the radio, Radio 4, suggesting, I think he's only saying this because he stood down a year ago, suggesting that in the long run, that's the way we're going to help the Middle East. That if we have a Marshall Plan, we give them economic security, and show them how to run their countries appropriately, that's the way out of this, rather than continuing with the intervention that we have. We've only just recently got figures for the Libyan intervention. That cost about $320 million in terms of military operation, and only $25 million in terms of reconstruction. And let's remember, that was the reason why Cameron resigned on the Monday before the Foreign Affairs Committee released that report. And that's the kind of figures that we're talking about. Any future intervention will involve those kinds of figures. So I'm glad to see that in Jeremy and John's alternative, point 10, on rebuilding and transforming Britain, but they want to put peace and justice at the heart of our foreign policy. And that certainly has the support of Stop the War. Another element of the military expenditure, a future debate that I know that Diane's very passionate about, and I'm sure Kevin and Kate are as well, is Trident. We are talking in the region of 20 to 100 billion price tag, without any doubts. Now, recently I came across a quote which simply said, and I'm going to read it out to you, nuclear weapons have shown themselves to be completely useless as a deterrent to threats and scale of threat that we currently face, particularly international terrorism and cyber wars. No, that's not a quote from Jeremy, that's actually from the top brass of the UK military. People like Lord Bramall, who's a Field Marshal, and generals like Lord Ramsbottom and Sir Hugh Birch. You only get those names in the top tier of the military establishment, actually. But that tells me that militarism and neoliberalism, austerity, are inextricably linked. And that's why the anti-war movement and the anti-austerity movement will always work closely together. It's not possible to change either without changing both at the same time. And that's why the Stop the War Coalition is committed to maintaining its role in this struggle for peace and social justice, as we know Jeremy is as well. Thank you very much.